A Zen proverb says, "When the clouds vanish, the moonlight returns to its original brightness." But what if those clouds, the repeating struggles, the painful relationships, the persistent feelings of being stuck, are not random punishments, but sacred lessons? And what happens when the lesson is finally, truly learned? What if the moment your soul finally breaks free from an ancient karmic cycle, it doesn't announce itself with a lightning bolt or a clap of thunder, but with a gentle, almost imperceptible whisper? Most people don't recognize the signs of their own liberation. They mistake the newfound peace for boredom, the silence for loneliness, and the effortless flow of life for mere coincidence. In this video, we will illuminate the 7 subtle but profound signs that your karma has been purified, released, and transformed. This is not just a lesson of words, it is a mirror for your own soul. Stay with me, because by recognizing these signs in your own life, you may discover that you are far closer to freedom than you ever imagined. Every being walks through life carrying a tapestry of unseen threads. These are the threads of karma, actions from the past, intentions from other lifetimes, and decisions made unconsciously in moments of fear or pride. These threads can bind the soul in patterns that repeat and ripple across our relationships, our health, our success, and our deepest sense of peace. Karma is not a punishment from an angry God. It is the silent, perfect mirror of the universe, flawlessly reflecting your inner world back to you. But what happens when the karmic cycle completes itself? What happens when your soul releases the old patterns, integrates the lesson, and awakens beyond the loop? The signs are subtle, yet unmistakable. Let the teaching begin. Sign 1. Silence becomes a sanctuary. The moment a significant karmic pattern dissolves, the soul no longer seeks noise to avoid its own truth. A person finds themselves sitting in silence, not because no one is speaking, but because the silence itself has become a dear companion. It no longer feels like an empty void to be filled with distraction, but a sacred space where peace can finally breathe. There is an old story of a wanderer who traveled the world with endless, restless questions. Every moment of his life was filled with seeking, through books, debates, arguments, and complaints. He blamed others for his inner turmoil, asking, "Why won't the world give me peace?" He never realized that peace could not be given from the outside. It could only be unveiled from within. One morning, without force, without ritual, without any expectation, he simply sat by a still lake. He listened, not to the world, but to the gentle rhythm of his own breath. And in that listening, silence poured into him like warm tea into a cup. No thoughts fought for his attention. No fears clawed at his heart. The silence embraced him, not with emptiness, but with a profound and loving presence. This is the first sign. When your soul no longer fears its own company, you know that a deep karmic softening has occurred. When silence becomes a sanctuary instead of a storm, inner peace has arrived without you ever having to ask for it. Sign 2. You stop reacting and start observing. When karma binds us, our lives are a series of painful reactions. Every perceived insult becomes a deep wound. Every unexpected delay becomes a source of anger. Every betrayal feels intensely personal. But you must understand, the reactive mind is not the real you. It is the echo of karma, still pulsing with unresolved energy. One day, a monk was walking barefoot across the cold, sharp stones of a temple garden. A hurried traveler, not paying attention, accidentally pushed him, and he fell, dust on his robe, a bruise on his knee. But his face did not flinch with anger. The traveler, horrified, rushed to apologize. The monk simply bowed his head gently and replied, "You did not push me. An old energy moved me, and I was blessed to observe its final release." He felt no personal insult. He saw only the impersonal unfolding of a moment, and he allowed it to pass through him without leaving a stain. This is not weakness. This is spiritual mastery. The second sign reveals itself when you no longer feel the compulsive urge to fight every emotion, justify every behavior, or win every argument. Instead of reacting, you simply observe. The ego shrinks. Life's triggers lose their power over you. Forgiveness becomes effortless. The river of life flows, and you no longer feel the need to grasp at the rocks. Sign 3. Patterns that once hurt you stop repeating. Karma is often a loop. It is a relentless but compassionate teacher. It brings us the same lesson in different classrooms, the same face of betrayal in different friendships, the same feeling of scarcity in different jobs, the same pattern of abandonment in different relationships. This is not a coincidence. It is a lesson unfinished. A woman once cried to a sage for the love she always lost. Every beautiful beginning, she lamented, ended in the same painful abandonment. One night, instead of begging the heavens for a different outcome, she lit a single stick of incense and whispered into the quiet darkness, "What part of me is creating this?" In that moment, true ownership began. Not blame, not shame, but a courageous act of ownership. She began to do her inner work. She forgave the image of her mother, whom she had resented for its coldness. She stopped chasing lovers who mirrored that same emotional rejection. And soon, something miraculous happened. New people arrived in her life, people who stayed, people who cherished her, people who did not echo the old, painful wounds. When your inner change is complete, the outer loop dissolves. The karmic attraction to toxic situations and unavailable people simply ends. The movie script of your life changes because the main character, you, has changed. Old tests vanish. Life finally upgrades. What used to chase you now fades away, because it can no longer find a home in your energy. Sign 4. You feel strangely and divinely protected. One of the most mysterious and beautiful signs of cleared karma is a sudden, palpable shift in protection. Accidents narrowly miss you. The right opportunities seem to find you out of nowhere. Harm and ill will seem to be deflected from your path. It is not mere luck. It is a shift in vibrational alignment. A young man walked through a dense forest, completely unaware of a venomous snake curled near his path. His foot was about to land directly upon it, but in that exact moment, a strong, inexplicable gust of wind blew him sideways. He fell, confused and startled. only to see the snake slither harmlessly away. He sat there, stunned, not because of the fall, but because of the strange and unearned grace of that moment. Something unseen had protected him. That something was the absence of a karmic debt. When the heavy weight of karma is released, the soul becomes light, and light, by its very nature, navigates the world differently. It is said that when karma is heavy, our spiritual guardians must stand back and allow the lessons to unfold. But when the karma clears, they are free to lean forward, to intervene, to guide. Your aura repels danger. Divine timing arranges benevolent detours. What once caused you to suffer can no longer reach you, for the wind has shifted in your favor, without any effort on your part. Sign 5. Others begin to mirror your inner peace. Karma doesn't just distort your own experience, it distorts how others perceive and react to you. When karma remains unresolved, others may unconsciously project their own chaos onto you. Arguments arise from nothing, misunderstandings grow. But once you clear a significant karmic pattern, you will notice that even difficult people seem to soften in your presence. There was a gardener who tended a small, simple space behind a meditation hall. He never raised his voice. He never complained. He simply worked with quiet presence. Yet, strangers who passed him on the path would often pause, grow silent, and smile. Children would wave to him. Even those who arrived at the hall filled with anger and frustration seemed to forget their bitterness near him. One man finally asked, "Why do I feel so calm around you?" The gardener looked up from his flowers and replied, "Because I no longer radiate pain for your pain to react to." When the karmic burden of unresolved anger, grief, or fear is lifted, your very energy field becomes a form of medicine. Even without a single word, people feel different around you. Their own aggression finds no energetic hook to latch onto. Their defensiveness naturally drops. The peace in you becomes a catalyst for the peace around you. Sign 6. You desire nothing, yet everything flows to you. Desire can be a beautiful, creative force when it is rooted in joy. But karmic desire often arises from a deep sense of lack, craving, and attachment. It grasps, it manipulates, it suffers. A spiritual seeker once spent years begging the heavens for riches and abundance. But his cup always remained empty. One day, in a moment of surrender, he threw his begging cup into the river and simply sat. Without longing, he watched the full moon dance on the surface of the water and smiled. Feeling completely whole, with no need for more. The next morning, passing travelers, moved by his peaceful presence, gifted him food. Later that week, a local king, hearing of his contentment, gifted him gold. He received these gifts not because he asked for them, but because he no longer needed them. This is the great paradox of flow. When you let go, life gives. When you stop chasing, blessings chase you. This is one of the most powerful signs that your karma is clearing. You no longer burn with a restless hunger for more. You radiate a quiet, profound contentment, and from that place of inner stillness and sufficiency, life begins to flow to you with an astonishing and effortless grace. What once required immense struggle now arrives through synchronicity. This is not magic. It is the law of karmic neutrality. You are no longer creating the resistance of needing, so the universe can deliver without obstruction. Sign 7. You become grateful for the pain that once broke you. This is perhaps the highest and most profound transformation of perspective, the ultimate sign that a deep karmic cycle has been completed. A man once wept at the grave of a loved one, cursing the loss that had shattered his heart. For years he grieved, and for years he was filled with blame and bitterness. Then, one dawn, years later, he returned to that same sacred place. He knelt again, not with the fire of pain, but with the quiet light of reverence. He whispered into the morning air, "Because of that loss, I was forced to find a depth I never knew I had. Because of that grief, I discovered a connection to spirit that has become my anchor." This is the final alchemy of the soul, when the wound is no longer a source of pain, but has become a source of wisdom. It is when you can look back at the very thing that broke you and see it as the event that ultimately made you whole. These 7 signs are not destinations to be achieved, but markers on a sacred journey of awakening. They are whispers from your soul, confirming that the clouds are parting. But this raises a crucial question: what happens next? How does one live from this newly cleared space? And what are the new, more subtle challenges that arise when old karma ends and a new destiny begins? That is where our journey must continue. This is the final alchemy of the soul, when the wound is no longer a source of pain, but has become a source of wisdom. The deepest indicator that a karmic cycle has cleared is when you can look back at your hardest moments, not with resentment, but with reverence. You thank the betrayals that taught you discernment. You bow to the endings that created new beginnings. You recognize that your suffering was not a mistake, but a sacred teacher in a convincing disguise. You do not repeat the past. You revere it for the strength it gave you. But this then raises a crucial question. Once the karmic clearance has occurred, what to do after karmic clearance? The answer is as simple as it is profound: sacred maintenance. Karma clears when the soul learns the lesson. But if one returns to the old attachments, the old bitterness, or the old greed, the karmic wheel will begin to slowly spin again. Therefore, you must learn to guard your newfound peace like a sacred flame. Sit often in the sanctuary of your own silence. Learn to observe the world rather than instantly react to it. Speak less and feel more. Practice gratitude, not only for the obvious gifts in your life, but also for the wounds that became your greatest teachers. Help others with an open heart, but do not carry burdens that are not yours to bear. Do not chase, do not grasp, simply align. When peace becomes your natural state and compassion becomes your native language, you no longer fear karma. You walk above it. The invisible thread has been cut. You were not punished for your karma. You were awakened through it. The Buddhist insight is this: karma is not a jail. It is a mirror. When you finally learn to see your own reflection clearly, the mirror dissolves. You are no longer bound by what was. You are no longer hunted by the past. You are free, not because you escaped, but because you outgrew the need for the lesson. The signs of this freedom are subtle. The world may not notice your transformation, but you will. And that quiet, inner knowing, that deep, personal recognition, is the final freedom, a sacred echo, a deeper reflection. In the quiet aftermath of this understanding, when truth settles like dew upon a still morning leaf, reflection becomes not a luxury, but a necessity. This is not just a summary, it is a sacred echo, meant to deepen the transformations stirred by these teachings. Each of the 7 signs points not outward, but inward. They are not grand events to look for in others or proofs to display. They are quiet, intimate shifts that only your soul can truly recognize, often silently and without any need for celebration. Let this reflection speak directly to your inner world. 1. When silence becomes your sanctuary, ask yourself, can I now sit in my own presence without the itch of discomfort? Do I still rush to fill every moment with noise? Or can I allow life to unfold in the richness of stillness? If you begin to feel safe and nourished in your own solitude, that is not loneliness, that is profound healing. When karma lingers, silence feels like a punishment. When karma clears, silence feels like a blessing. 2. When you observe instead of react, you understand that your power is shown not through loud words, but through quiet pauses. Look at how you have changed. When you are challenged, do you still feel the need to defend every slight? Or has your energy softened into a quiet strength? To observe without attachment is the mark of a mind released from the karmic pull. It means you no longer feel compelled to drink poison simply because someone offered it to you. 3. When old wounds no longer repeat. Look at your cycles, not just your memories. Who are you attracting into your life now? What do you tolerate now? If your relationships feel different, if that familiar ache of pain no longer shows up in new costumes, that is not a random coincidence. That is the beautiful ripple effect of resolved karma. To stop blaming the outer world for your inner state is a spiritual revolution. It signals the end of karmic repetition. You stop being a victim of the storm and begin to realize you are the sky that holds it. 4. When protection feels natural, not forced, ask yourself, do you feel strangely guided? Do obstacles seem to remove themselves from your path before you even prepare to face them? That is not arrogance. That is spiritual alignment. True protection is not earned by force or ritual. It flows naturally when the soul stops resisting life's lessons. When karma ends, divine forces can finally intervene on your behalf. Doors that were once locked now open without you even knocking. 5. When others mirror your calmness, know that energy does not lie. People will reflect your inner state back to you before they ever understand it consciously. When even chaotic or difficult people seem to speak more softly around you. When conflict seems to avoid your path not because you are hiding, but because peace radiates from you. You are witnessing a karmic transformation in real time. Do not seek approval. Seek congruence. If your inner peace and your outer world begin to reflect one another, then karma is no longer clouding the mirror. 6. When you desire nothing, yet receive everything, you have stepped into the great paradox that few accept. Because the ego loves to chase, but chasing is rooted in the hunger of karmic lack. Letting go is rooted in the deep trust of spiritual abundance. The universe is not a machine you command, it is a mirror that reflects. It responds not to your desperate words, but to your peaceful energy. What came to you naturally, without grasping, simply because you were aligned. Cleared karma invites blessings that have no hidden contracts. You no longer need to beg the soil for nourishment when you yourself have become the rain. 7. When pain becomes a sacred teacher, not a curse. This is the final alchemy. To be able to look at the person who broke you and genuinely, silently say, "You woke me." To look back at your darkest hour and say, "You were the one who lit my inner fire." To touch the old wound and feel not grief, but a profound gratitude. Only a soul that has walked through the karmic fire can bow to the lessons of its burn. This does not mean you invite pain into your life again. It means you no longer resent the sacred role it played in your awakening. That is the true end of karma, not when the pain stops, but when its meaning is utterly transformed. Beyond karma is grace. Karma is not a punishment. It is a purification process. But it is also a phase. When the refining fire of karma completes its sacred work, what remains is not an empty void, but a state of grace. Grace is the realm that exists beyond the strict laws of karma. In karma, you reap what you sow. In grace, you receive what you have never earned. In grace, you no longer say, "I earned this through my struggle," you simply say, "I am aligned, and so I receive." In grace, you no longer cry out, "Why me?" You whisper, "Thank you," even when you do not fully understand. Clearing karma is not the final destination. It is the profound shift that makes you available for grace. It is the shift from fear to presence, from resistance to surrender, from reaction to reflection. If you see these signs appearing in your life, bow your head, not in arrogance, but in deep reverence. You are not better than others. You are simply becoming clearer. And your clarity is not yours to hoard. It is yours to reflect into the world. Let this teaching dwell in you. Meditate not on what you want to acquire next, but on the painful lessons you have already survived. Journal not on what you still lack, but on the destructive patterns you no longer repeat. Walk not to escape your life, but to return more deeply to yourself, to truth, to stillness. The karmic storm has passed. The mirror no longer distorts. The path no longer repeats. Now, you can finally walk it, not as a prisoner of your past, but as a peaceful presence in the now, and in every moment ahead. Let your inner peace be the most powerful proof of your transformation. If this message has brought you a moment of clarity or a sense of hope on your own journey, please help us share this light by giving this video a like. It is a simple act that helps these teachings find their way to others who may be searching for them. And for more gentle, timeless wisdom on living with peace, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss an update from our channel. And now, I would love to hear from your own journey. In the comments below, share which of the 7 signs resonated with you the most deeply. Your story of transformation might be the very message someone else needs to read today. Thank you for your time and your beautiful presence. May you walk in grace. Until next time.